Hi, welcome to the Alan Holman Show, episode 15. I've got a little rant for you right now. You may know that on my website, which is called Author Alan Holman's Microcosm, I've got several fiction stories that I've written. Occasionally, someone enjoys one of those stories and then tries to get me to work on their writing project. But I suck at projects that don't originate from a certain part of my own heart-mind connection. If the project doesn't originate from a certain place within me, I cannot do the project justice. So a friend just today asked me to write a story featuring a vigilante character that he created, but I can't do it. It doesn't come from a certain place within me. It came from a place within that friend. I mean, you can. I urge you to go to my website, Author Alan Holman's Microcosm, and read the stories that I've written. Um, and I mean, some of them surprise me with how good they are. Even though I'm the one that wrote them, some of them surprise me with how good they are when I take a look at them nowadays. Um, but don't come to me with an idea for a story that you want me to write. Um, Many years ago, a friend of mine wanted me to write a stage play based on her earlier years, or should I say his earlier years. Um, this friend of mine was born a female, but eventually transitioned to a male, and this friend wanted me to write a story based on what led to that decision. And I thought I might be able to tackle it if the friend um, spends if the friend were to answer a bunch of questions that I had about it, and if the friend were to spend an hour sitting at their computer writing like a journal all the events and stuff that I wanted, that the friend wanted me to embellish upon or touch upon in the play. I wanted, so I asked a friend to do an hour of just free typing up that friend's story. And so the friend ended up sending me this highly personal document that told a highly personal story. And I can still remember that story, and I still feel sorry for that the person had to go through the very dramatic parts of that story, the abuse the person endured and all that stuff. But I was incapable of turning that story into a stage play like the friend asked me to. I did not have it come from anywhere within my heart. It was not my story. Um, and that's when I learned that I'm just not going to accept projects um, that other people come up with. I'll only write my own things. Um, there are some exceptions where I might be able to do it, but in general, don't ask me to write a story that is essentially your story. Um, the one that should be writing that story is you. Alright, this was the first segment of episode 15 of The Alan Holman Show. Let's see what the next segments have to offer.
You're watching The Alan Holman Show.
And I'm back. And I've got another rant for you. I was just reminded of a time in very recent history when a friend of mine who is an ex-neighbor, he used to live next door to me in this building that I moved to nearly 9 whole months ago. This guy, one night he came into my apartment and he sat down on this very couch that I'm sitting on right now, and I was sitting on that chair over there listening to him talk, and basically he was begging me to write a book about his life story. And he had already told me several anecdotes and stories from his past, stories that he'd want to have included in that book. And that's what happens when I show people the 5 Banana Chan books that I made. I show people the actual books of that series that I wrote, and then they believe that I'd be capable of putting their story into a book. But the thing is, I can't. And for one thing, this friend of mine wanted me to make him out to be some kind of hero, or at least the hero of the story that's told in the book. And even though he's my friend, I don't really view him as a hero. I can't view him as a hero. The guy needs to sort out a lot of things in his own life before I might start to think of him that way. But even now, the guy's life is like a train wreck. At the moment that I don't want to identify who I'm talking about, but most of the times I've seen him, he was dressed like an absolute slob. And when he lived next door to me in this building, I'm just going to say it. There was this one night I was trying to sleep, He knocked on my door at 3 in the morning, and when I opened the door, his pants were way too low. That's all I'm going to say. They were way too low. I saw way too much, way more than I wanted to see. And he was shaking and sweating, and he asked me for a cigarette. 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning, the guy knocks on my door, shaking and sweating, with his pants so low that I could see way too much, way more than I want to see. The image is burned in my brain, and I hate the image. And he's asking for a cigarette. And this is the guy that wanted me to write a book about his life story. I can't do that. I can't view him as a hero. My interactions with him, despite the stories that he's told me about things he's gone through, my interactions with him, I don't view him as a hero. I can't write his story and portray him as a hero. In fact, I can't I can't write. You know, the guy this particular guy that I'm talking about, he, in his interactions with me while he was living in this building, living next door to me, he crossed so many of my personal lines and so many of my personal boundaries, and he did it so casually that I should not be calling him a friend. I'm kind of a pushover to still be referring to him as a friend. But he so casually crossed so many of my lines and so many of my personal boundaries. And even that night when he was on my couch telling me to write a book about him, and he was begging and pleading me to write a book about him, and he was saying all these things about certain people who will help me to learn more about him and learn more of his story. But honestly, this particular guy, I really want my connection with him to be severed. I want him to move far away. Right now he's he's right now he's basically homeless, and he's staying in a hotel that's a little ways west of where I'm living. Someone's paying for that hotel for him, but when he was living next door to me, and when he let me into his apartment that was next door to mine, his place was an absolute mess. It had a smell to it that was terrible, and he hoarded the stupidest things for a person to hoard. And the guy is messed up. The guy is messed up. Of course, I hope that he gets his act together and finds some kind of way to survive and thrive in this world. Of course, I hope that for him. But currently, who he is And even the stories that he told me about his past, I can't possibly put that stuff in a book. I don't want to be. He's the kind of guy that I don't want to be connected to. But I was connected to him situationally because he was next door to me. And when he was next door to me, he kept bugging me and crossing lines. But I was polite enough to treat him like a friend. And he still, when I see him around, he still calls me buddy. He says, "Hey, buddy," but I honestly don't want a connection to that dude. And if I were to actually sit down and write a book about the guy, then I would always have a connection to him. That book would always exist, and I'd have to see him more times in my life because of the book, and I don't want that. He crossed so many of my boundaries. I didn't tell any of the stories about the times he crossed my boundaries. Like, you know what? One time when he was sitting on this couch, he was holding a cup of a drink that he was drinking, and he made a joke. The joke included him shaking. The words he used in the joke with the shaking, admittedly, it was funny, but he spilled his drink on my couch. And I just think a smart person wouldn't have made the joke that he made while holding the cup of a drink. If he were going to make that joke that he made, he should have put the cup down. He should have put the cup down before doing the joke that included him shaking. But yeah. Of course, I hope he never sees this video, because he'll know who it is I'm talking about. But, yeah, this is going to be a segment on episode 15, because I'm just making the point here that I've written stories, I've written actual books, but I can't write someone else's story. And I hope that nothing I've said in this segment will have the particular individual that I was talking about say, "Hey, you were talking shit about me on YouTube." But I'm just making a point that I hope that his life improves, but I do not currently see him as any type of heroic figure who I could write a story about using the part of my heart-mind connection where my stories come from. And so I was incredibly annoyed when I kept saying no to him. "No, I'm not going to work on that writing project." And he was sitting on this couch and he was begging me to work on the writing project. And, I tried to show him a little write-up that I made on my website where I explain this, that I don't write stories for other people unless I get a major compensation that I agree with that triggers a certain part of my heart-mind connection. I made a write up on my website about this, and when he was in here begging me, to write his write his book, um, I I showed him that write up. I showed him that write up that I made. I showed him that part of my web page, and he's like, so, what are you saying? So, what are you saying? Is what he said. And I still had to explain it to him after I read word for word, and he still kept begging and begging, and I wanted him to leave. And by not leaving the first time I told him to leave and sticking around, continuing to beg, that that crossed several of my lines and boundaries. Like, part of me just wanted to get this off my chest, but it doesn't really count if I don't post this. I have to post this. I have to post this in order to get this off my chest. So, I'm hoping the individual I'm talking about doesn't see this episode, but it's very likely that he won't. Um, anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I talked the whole episode about this. This episode, is basically over. It was only a 2 segment episode, um, and so if you're enjoying this series, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And remember that you can donate to my PayPal by going to PayPal and sending a donation to the email address newlegend2005@yahoo.ca, and say that it's under the category Friends and Family, and that'll help this show to get more episodes. And the way it'll help this show to get more episodes is it'll help me to it'll help my morale if you donate. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you on the next episode.
You are watching The Alan Holman Show.